Razzball. Razzball. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It is the Razzball Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I am Beat On, joined by the Fantasy Master Lothario, Gray Albright. How's it going over there, Gray?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just enjoying what is today? Monday?
Yeah, it is a Monday.
I have Andrew Abbott pitching right now on my most important team, and I have shut off my TV because I don't want to look over to my right where my TV is and see that he's down 7 runs in the third inning because that will put a real stink on this podcast. So I am choosing to be in the dark for the next hour.
Hey, he's been pretty good this season. I feel you'll be all right, Gray. But we'll just keep it moving so you can get to that at some point here. It's been a fun, interesting week here in Atlanta, Gray. Mm-hmm. The papers and the news and everything's been all over the place with the first female umpire down here. What did you think about her performance, Gray?
Oh man, it was like she was a 20-year pro. On her first call, she got it totally wrong and botched it. It was a beautiful thing. I was like, you know what? Women can be as wrong as men. You know what? I'm all for women's lib now, man. Put more women in the umpire field. If that's what if we're gonna go to women being I want a whole crew, a whole umpire crew of all women on the field, and then men can get so mad, and then we can finally get robot umps. Can we do that? Because I personally really want robot umps. I'm not exactly for AI necessarily in all aspects, but if you can do something better than humans, like what are we doing here? It's so obvious that and even if it's just like what they do in the preseason when it's like the batters tap their helmet for when they think the home plate ump has got a call wrong, even if we're just doing that, I'm fine with that. I'll take that because I just want the calls to be right, and for them it's actually kind of funny that like the people who are against it, because it's like you're against being correct. That's what you're literally like, you know what? I don't want this to be accurate. But yeah, so congratulations to Jen, showing that women can be wrong just like men.
Yep, she was. I will say, Gray, to your point, she was exactly on the average missed calls for umpires this season. Exactly on it. I believe it was like 88% on missed calls, which seems not great, honestly, if we're talking about a professional baseball umpire. But it is. I mean, it's hard. They're seeing 96-mile-an-hour stuff that moves all over the place. That being said, it is their profession. You'd think they'd be pretty good at it. But yeah, I'm for the strike zone check. We can just do, a few, or every batter gets like one. I don't know what the system needs to be, but I'm for it, Gray. I'm also for just going to an automated system at this point. That's fine. For a long time, I was concerned because, you'd watch TV and the box is never quite right on TV, but it seems like based on what they've done in the minors this year that they're pretty much on it now. So yeah, bring on the automated strike zone. Why do we have chips in like the balls and gloves that tell us who hits the bag first at first base? Like that seems like a very easy one just to automate. I mean, on the football side, like we're still using people moving chains and randomly marking the ball just wherever they feel like it's just completely random. I just feel like all of this could be a lot more precise, but then again, they wouldn't be able to fix games then. So that would really hurt betting handle. lot. So I guess we got to think of everybody before we make any changes, Gray.
Yeah, totally. You want to be able to. You want to make sure you're able to fix games. That's an important thing.
It's an important factor in major league sports. Like in professional sports, you got to be able to make sure those small markets don't actually win anything.
I feel like in football. By the way, we have a football.rasball.com for people just joining us.
I got rankings and auction values over there.
Yeah. There's Grimey was in the baseball comments today trying to recruit people for a football podcast league. Are you in that?
That's my league. I'm running.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. Right, yeah. So if people want to be in the league with B-Don, do that. But I was thinking though, with the chains, I feel like it's a larger comment on society that you have like the refs pick up the ball. This is for football. They pick up the ball and they toss it to the other ref, and then the ref arbitrarily like places it on the ground, and then they take these chains out to measure, and it's like, well, you literally just put the ball down where you want. They're always like, we'll see what the placement is like. It's like, yeah, okay. So the placement is arbitrary, but then you have chains measuring it. Like, what's the point?
Like they can't look over and see where the first down is. Like they don't automatically know where the ball needs to be placed or not placed.
It's like,
also, why can't it not be like a laser? We can't have a laser between the markers so we don't have to drag chains out. Like, are you really not to this point in technology that this billion-dollar industry of football and baseball, we're relying on just human randomness? Like, what are we doing here? Anyways, Gray, let's move on to a topic that helps our listeners a little bit. Let's talk about somebody who's not changing and not moving for a while, and that is Roman Anthony. He gets a big contract. Boston following the Braves path and just locking up their youth. Roman Anthony gets his deal. This year he's played 49 games, 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases, 27 runs, 20 RBIs, 279, 392, 419. He has a 24.5% strikeout rate and a 13.2% walk rate. After a rough start, he's gotten it together here, but the numbers aren't really shouting at you. Like, what are you thinking in regards to Roman Anthony for this season? And then for next season, we might as well start talking about that at this point.
Right. I think, the fact that the Red Sox gave him a big contract and locked him down for 8 years, I believe, as Rafael Devers once said, oh, yeah, that'll work. I'm sure Roman Anthony will be with them for the entire contract. Personally, I think it's a great idea if you can lock up a huge talent like Roman Anthony, just like the Braves locked up Ozzie Albies. No, I'm sorry. I'll stop doing sarcasm now. No, I think with Roman Anthony, the tools are so loud and it's a hit tool, speed, power, everything. I mean, he's walking at a close to 14% walk rate as a rookie in his first 50 games. It's just ridiculous. As a 21-year-old, 14%, a close to 14% walk rate. So, yeah, I'm pretty much convinced that Roman Anthony is going to be a star. It's now the thing is, will he be a star in the mold of like, I don't know, say Bobby Witt, and have like, continual success, like top 15 overall type success for fantasy? Or will he be a star like what we're expecting Wyatt Langford to be? It's impossible to say, I think, at this point. I think, with Roman Anthony being in Fenway, so much better park than, my example of Langford. So it's a great park. It should be a solid park for him to hit for a good average. So you're looking at a guy who's hitting 280 as a 21-year-old rookie. You would imagine that's only going to go up from here. And that's even with a 25% strikeout rate. So, he's striking out a bit, but not that much considering, he's so young and this is his first foray into the majors. So I would say, probably by next year, you're looking at a 21 to 22% strikeout rate. The average probably goes up to 290, bordering on 300. The power is legit. The steals are legit. I would imagine next year you're looking at a guy who's probably going to be in the range of, going back to Langford. His probably Anthony's going to be in the range of where we saw James Wood, Jackson Merrill, Wyatt Langford go in the preseason this year. That's probably what we're going to see with Roman Anthony next year. And if I had to guess, I would put him probably closer to the James Wood model of, breaking out versus the Wyatt Langford of breaking down. So I like Roman Anthony a lot. I would be aggressive to try and acquire him in a dynasty league. I see very little, to really worry me. I think it's just a matter of time, really. And, that time could come as soon as September of this year, could come as soon as April of next year. Maybe it takes, longer than that. But he's still so young that I believe in Roman Anthony. I trust the Red Sox to, the fact that they went and they did make the big deal to keep him for 8 years tells me that they really trust him. And they're we make fun of the Red Sox, but they are a good organization. They know what they're doing. They've developed quite a few players, and Roman Anthony is just I think Roman Anthony is going to be a star possibly as soon as next year.
Yeah, I mean he's looked like he belongs, pretty much after the first kind of, there was an adjustment period when he first came up, getting used to it. But yeah, ever since then, he's looked really, really good. If anything, the wall is hurt some of his power because he's just blasted some straight into it that would be out of most ballparks. So, I think he'll kind of adjust in regards to hitting the ball a little bit more up, at least in the pull side. Hitters adjust to their surroundings. But yeah, he's going to be a good hitter. I don't have any doubts of that. For this season, Gray, him or Sal Frelick, who is, minor breakout of the season, but do you see them even in the same light this year, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Frelick's been okay. Give people an idea. He's actually 133 on the player rater right now. He's actually right behind Mookie Betts as of the recording of this. Speaking of Red Sox, former Red Sox, I would probably go Roman Anthony for upside over Frelick because I think we know what we're going to get from Frelick, and it's kind of whatever. I mean, unless you really need steals, then I guess you go Frelick because, or if you really need average, I guess they're probably close to a push actually. Yeah. I guess if you really need steals, you go Frelick. Otherwise, I'm fine going Anthony between the two of them.
Yeah, I think I would go Frelick for this season, but for next year, I'll go Anthony. I just think it's going to take him a little bit to adjust to that park, specifically the monster, and just trying to get to the stats that we need for our game. So I think the power is kind of even at this point, and I'm going to give Sal the edge on speed for this season. So for this season, I'll go Sal, but I agree for next year, it's Roman Anthony. How about another breakout for the season, Julio Ramos?
He's really cooled off a lot in in the last month plus. So I would actually go Roman Anthony.
Okay. How about Ian Happ, who feels like kind of the Roman Anthony bottom line at some point? Like,
Yeah,
this is what
Ian
Roman Anthony is.
Like Ian Happ, I feel like is our own personal Wandy line.
Yeah, kind of.
To date ourselves a little bit. Most people listening to this, actually, people listening to this probably do know the Wandy.
They know exactly what we're talking about, Greg.
Yeah, because it's all 50-plus-year-olds. I would go Roman Anthony over Ian Happ.
I would too. Again, it's just kind of the line. I have to put him in here when we talk about an outfielder who we have to kind of give a line for, and that's the Ian Happ line at this point. We'll have to the happenstance line. I don't know. Let's move on to the next person here. Jakob Marsee. We talked about him briefly last week, but he has hit the ground running, Gray. 11 games, 1 home run, 5 stolen bases. He's hitting .419, .538, .742. He's got a 20.5 strikeout rate and walk rate. I mean, is he a automatic pickup across all leagues right now? Is this something we can count on, or just a little hot potato action?
Yeah, I think it's probably it's a little bit of a hot potato action because I don't believe in the average right now. His BABIP's over 500. I mean, it's really a small sample size, but the steals are real. Like the speed is real. So if you need speed, I have no problem going and grabbing Jakob Marsee. I think there's a potential here to have like the guy who has the most steals between now and the end of the season, probably between him and like Chandler Simpson. I mean, there's a few guys, but I would say Marsee is probably number one guy for speed right now. But other than that, I don't really trust any of the other tools, to be honest. Like, I don't know. Like he made good contact in the minor leagues as far as strikeouts go, but he still only hit 246. So yeah, I think the hard contact, like right now he's making a lot of hard contact, loud, hard contact, over 52%, a hard contact, but that's really, I think, small sample size thing. I don't buy it. So I do like it though. Like I do like him for speed. So, and because he's, a hot potato doesn't necessarily mean I wouldn't pick him up in every league. I would pick him up because he's hot. So why not? But I don't trust it to like last as far as like power and average. The speed's there. The speed's not a joke.
Yeah, I mean, a few good weeks from a player at this point can be the difference between winning or not. So yeah, grab these guys, even if they are potatoes, if they're hot. To your point about the power being maybe over exaggerated at this point, even in AAA this year, he was a 30.5% hard hit and an 87.3 exit velocity, over 52% hard hit and a 92.8 exit velocity. Those numbers are massively juiced from what he was doing in AAA. That seems like it's not something that can sustain itself. But yes, absolutely pick him up. And like you said, he could lead the league in stolen bases. He is an on-base guy. He's always been an on-base guy. So from that standpoint, he should always have some value as long as he's in the lineup, because he can always steal a base if he gets the walk and gets on first. Greg, can you tell me who has the most stolen bases in August?
I'm going to say Jakob Marsee.
It is not.
Oh,
he is second. He's tied for second.
Oh, I don't know who.
It is Josh Naylor. Just proving you do not need to be fast to steal bases, and it's just getting crazy out there. Josh Naylor, 6 stolen bases in 11 days in August. Great, that's insane.
He's so slow. He's so slow. I don't think people really realize how slow he really is. I mean, he is so slow. Like you see him and you're like, that guy's not fast. And then he runs and you're like, oh, he really isn't fast. Oh man. All right.
You really think he's a catcher? Like only catchers run that slow, but he does it. Somehow Josh Naylor does it, and he's also he leads August in stolen bases with 6. out of 533 qualified sprint speeds, Gray, he is 519th on the sprint speed list. Perfect. He is so slow, but he's getting it done. Somebody who's also been getting it done, Gray, and is the AL Player of the Week. I think we talked about him, when he first got called up. We didn't really talk about him on his recall, and that is Luke Keaschall. Since his call up, he's got 2 home runs, 2 runs, 10 RBIs, and he's hitting 454 with an 864 OPS right now. I mean, again, is this something that we can expect? Are you picking him up everywhere? What are your thoughts on Luke Keaschall?
He has steals. Did you mention that?
I'm sorry?
He has 5 steals as well.
He has 5 steals on the season, but not since his recall.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I think he might be a guy who potentially has a sleeper post for him next year. I really kind of like him a lot. So he looks to me like he hit 263 in AAA, but it was only in 28 games, but it was with a 14.4% strikeout rate. And previously in the minor leagues, he was hitting 300 plus, and he has always been a hit tool guy. He's a guy who makes really good contact and a lot of it, and he walks a lot. So he's got a good eye, over 10% walk rate right now. I could see, I really kind of feel like he might be, all the noise about the Alex Kirilloffs, Trevor Larnach's, Royce Lewis. And I mean, maybe I'm getting sucked in again on a Minnesota Twins prospect, but I really like this guy. I think he's got good power, good speed, good hit tool. Maybe a little light on the power, which could end up hurting his fantasy value a little bit. Like if he's closer to, say, a 12 homer, 20 to 25 steals, 280 hitter, that's that's good. It's not as exciting if he gets up to like 20 280. Then we're talking about a guy who is a potential top 50 to 75 player on the player rater. But yeah, if his power is not fully there, but he's also only 22 years old, so I don't know if the power is necessarily completely realized yet. So it could still be developing. I'm a fan, man. I like him a lot. For right now, he's an absolute pickup because, like you mentioned, he was the player of the week. So he's one of the hottest bats in the major leagues. So everything aside from big pitcher, you should pick him up right now because he's just hot. But, with all that said, I might really like him a lot next year. I'm looking at him and I'm like, this looks like something that I can get behind. I'm feeling it. I think play and the positional eligibility should be good too, because it looks like he's going to have second base eligibility, assuming he keeps playing at second this year. He's splitting time between second and DH. So as long as he gets second base eligibility and he isn't like utility only, which that would hurt a little bit, but second base eligibility for him for next year, he could be a top 15 second baseman pretty easily, I think. So yeah, I'm in, man. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I like what we've seen too, and I think kind of with his plate discipline, hopefully that buys him a little bit of slump proof. I don't know why he wasn't playing before. He really, he got injured, so that I guess that's why. That's answer my own question. Sorry. We'll just move on, Gray. Let's talk about some second half performers, and we're gonna do it in my favorite way. Your not favorite way, but that's okay. I don't care what you want. I made the notes. It is the Anchorman game, and that means we're playing Scientific Fact, Sex Panther, and I don't believe you. If this is your first time or you still don't understand that like Gray every single time we do it, Scientific Fact means what they're doing is real. Sex Panther 60% of the time. It works every time. They kind of believe it, but enjoy it while it lasts. And then I don't believe you. It's completely fake. It's going to fall off. Please get escape as fast as you can. All right, Gray. Julio Rodríguez, on the season, he has 23 home runs, 22 stolen bases. He's hitting 256, 311, 448. For the second half, he has 9 home runs, 5 stolen bases, and he's hitting 271. 4 home runs, 2 stolen bases, and 289 in August. Is this just the standard Julio Rodríguez second half 1 month burst we get? Or are we going to finally kind of see him put more than a month together?
Maybe 2 months. I don't know if we're going to get more than that. I honestly feel like at this point we just have to say it's scientific fact that he is a second half hitter and nothing else. Like he's maybe steals, I guess. You can give him steals in the first half, but he just doesn't seem capable of showing up with power or average from like April through June. Once, mid-July hits and the All-Star break, and then coming out of that, he starts hitting. But I mean, it's a second half guy, really. Since we were talking about Wandy line, I might as well bring up post All-Star break stats to Shea Pabst for people who are really going really digging. I'm digging into the crates now for oldies. But
that's an old reach back, Gray.
Yeah, I mean, but that's really what I think. JRod is nothing more than a second half guy when it comes to power and with the power, then you have the RBIs, and also the average seems to really was really struggling in the first half. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's anything more than that for like next year when you're looking at them. I think at this point you have to really just be like, okay, I know I'm getting a second half guy, and hopefully he just sort of stays afloat and is like, roughly a top 100 ish type player for, the first 3 months, because other than that, I don't know. And then if you happen to get lucky and he's, hits the ground running in April of next year, then maybe you do get that, that dream season that we've, actually, I mean, we sort of saw it in 2023 from him when he hit 32 homers and stole 37 bags and hit 275. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I would say, if you're drafting him for next year, I would say we're probably going to be looking at a guy who's a second half guy, and maybe you get lucky and get a decent first half. But I don't think scientific fact he is who he is in the second half for the whole season, because we don't see it. So I think he's just a second half guy when it comes to power and average.
Yeah, I get it. I agree. I'm a warm weather golfer. my handicap drops like 6 strokes as soon as it warms up. And same with Julio Rodríguez. I say don't draft him. Trade for him in June when his owners just can't handle him hitting 250 with no power anymore. And then get all the good parts out of him. To your point about the power and the average, in his career, Gray, he has 369 games in the first half, 178 in the second half. That's less than half the games. 53 home runs in the first half, 50 in the second half. He hits 260 first half, 296 in the second. He's a warm weather guy. That stadium's awful. Maybe that's really what it takes, is just him getting out of Seattle to warmer climes, or maybe a dome somewhere would be nice for him. I'm not sure, but if he could ever get to a place that's warm in April, that would be amazing.
I would like to see that for his fantasy value, but I expect him to be in Seattle for his career, if not his career, at least for a while. I feel like it's wishful thinking to think you're going to be able to trade for him in June, because everyone knows who he is at this point. Like, it's not like going to be a shock to the person who drafted him that they're going to be trading away, but they're their guy who gets good in like 2 weeks. But I mean, it's and I might be overestimating the the average person who has JRod on their team. So I don't know. But yeah, I do. I mean, I wish I had him over, some guys that I like. It's like there's definitely worse things to be than what JRod's doing. I would say Vlad's probably worse, right? On the player rater. Maybe they're close. But there's worse guys that were drafted. I'm saying people were drafted around JRod. Yeah, maybe there's no one worse. I don't know. I just looked at the player rater, and Vlad is actually, Vlad's doing fine, not amazing, but he's doing fine on the player rater. Julio Rodríguez is above him for what it's worth. Anyway, we can move on.
Yeah, let's move on, Gray. Let's talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Kurtz. On the season, he has 23 home runs, 2 stolen bases. He's hitting .305. That sounds really good. But in the second half, he has 6 home runs, a stolen base, and he's hitting .430, Gray. At this point for this season, and then we'll talk about next season, is there a single first baseman that you would trade him for?
No. Probably. Well, I just mentioned whatchamacallit, Vlad wasn't doing that bad. I don't know, Alonso, maybe. I don't know. I feel like you're trading apples for apples, kind of, in a way. It's like, trading Nick Kurtz for Pete Alonso. It's like, I don't know. It's 6 of one, a half a dozen of another. But I think a similar question is anyone going to be, any first baseman going to be ranked above him next year? And that I don't know. I would say probably like Vlad and Pete Alonso are in the discussion, I think, for the top first baseman, right? That's Nick Kurtz, Vlad, and Pete Alonso. Who is going to be the actual first baseman, the first baseman off the board? I don't know. I guess Pete Alonso could potentially sign in, he could sign in for the Dodgers or something. It wouldn't be the craziest thing. He could move to a good park, I guess. Vlad is very consistent, even if he's not exactly that exciting. Nick Kurtz is doing this in less games. And he does have the upside. And that park, the Sacramento Park is so good for offense, where they're going to be there again next year. And then everyone's going to take the year after that off. And then they're going to be in Vegas, which is even. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm saying Nick Kurtz potentially could be the first baseman off the board. I don't know if I'm ready to plant my flag on that yet, but he's close to it. He's definitely in the discussion. I think a strong final 6 weeks could really clinch it for him. But on the other hand, if he struggles, for the final 6 weeks, and that could change still. There's still some room for movement there. But I do like Nick Kurtz a lot. I think the power's real. The stadium can't get any better. It's literally the best stadium for power. And Nick Kurtz has a ton of it. So next year, you might be looking at Nick Kurtz like 45 homers and 285 average potentially, which would make him the number 1 first baseman easily. So yeah, I'm a fan for sure. I just like I want to see the final 6 weeks of him, continuing to just bash the baseball.
Hey, August steals leader Josh Naylor belongs in that discussion as well. But yeah, I think right now, if I had to make rankings right now, nobody would be over Nick Kurtz for me rest of season. And for next year, I don't think I would put anybody, barring seeing Pete Alonso go somewhere, just absolutely lovely for him.
Yeah.
I think Kurtz is the number one for me right now.
Freeman and Harper are out of the discussion at this point. It's definitely between Vlad, Kurtz, and Alonso. I think with Naylor a strong fourth, but I think Naylor is the fourth of those three.
Yeah, I mean at this point, Harper's ceiling feels kind of like Kurt. I'm not gonna say Kurtz's floor because he we haven't seen him for that long, but like the minimum expectations for Nick Kurtz is gonna be like what Harper does if he stays healthy.
Yeah, I would say Harper's probably his best bet for fantasy value is probably like a 27 homer, 100 runs, 100 RBIs, 270 season, which would be a really solid season because of the runs and RBIs. I think Harper's really going to be kind of contingent on that, but I don't see Harper getting into the discussion for the top 3 first basemen as of this point.
I will say one thing that probably helps Harper, well, I guess potentially helps Harper, is the lineup is not really set up for him to give us 100 plus right now because he has Trey Turner, who's real. I mean, he's a leadoff, but like he never took walks. The average is kind of dropped off. Like he's not really a great leadoff as we would want for like Bryce Harper. You'd want somebody who gets on base, somebody who would just be there for him to hit in from second. And then he has Kyle Schwarber sitting in front of him who either strikes out or hits a home run and clears the bases, who also doesn't set the plate well for Bryce Harper. So with Schwarber leaving next year potentially, there is some room for his RBIs and his runs to go up a little bit. But I agree. I don't think Harper's in the number 1 first baseman discussion at this point. Now somebody we have to talk about for next year's number 1 catcher potentially is Shea Langeliers, who on the season has 23 home runs, 5 stolen bases, and he's hitting 270. The second half, he is hitting 389, 11 home runs, a stolen base. He is the number 3 catcher on the season, number 1 over the last 30 days. And, I mean, again, I'm going to ask you the same thing I did with Kurtz. Would you take any catcher over him right now?
I would take Cal Raleigh. Probably that's it. Yeah. I mean, I don't see, like you said, he's 3 on the player rater and then 1 for the last month. And I don't like Goodman's above him on the player rater, and I would take Langeliers over Goodman. So it'd be Cal Raleigh, Shea Langeliers. Back to this was also supposed to be a Sex Panther thing. So I would say scientific fact. I think we forgot the game.
We forgot it on Kurtz, but I feel like we were very clear on where we were leaning on Kurtz.
So Nick Kurtz is scientific fact. Shea Langeliers is scientific fact. Bing Bong Stadium in Sacramento is scientific fact because there's the ball flies there. I mean, I honestly might have like 5 A's players on all of my teams next year. And now that the stadium has confirmed what I initially was thinking in the preseason this year. I mean, the ball just flies. It's ridiculous. So Shea Langeliers, I mean, he cut his strikeouts. You don't get, I mean, as a guy who's like his major issue was strikeouts and his average, he's cut that so dramatically, almost 10% down this year, from 27% strikeout rate to 18% strikeout rate. He's gone from a 220 hitter to a 270 hitter. I mean, and he's got 30 homer power. There's really there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, I'm not the type to draft a catcher high, but Shea Langeliers looks like, to me, I think the second catcher off the board, and scientific fact, everything looks real on him. I'm in, man.
Yeah, I'm in as well. I would agree. I would take Cal Raleigh, even though he's, the average has not been great so far in the second half. He's still destroying baseball, so that'll come back. So yeah, it's just Cal Raleigh, and then Shea Langeliers for me at this point as well. Let's move on to the next person, which is Lenyn Sosa. On the season, he has 14 home runs, 2 stolen bases. He's hitting .278, very solid line. In the second half, he has 5 home runs already, and he's hitting .319. What are your thoughts on Lenyn Sosa? One of the couple of bright spots that are managing to find their way out of the cloud that is the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Sex Panther, as in, I think he's hot right now and he's seeing the ball well and all that's working out, so I would pick him up right now, but I don't fully buy in that this is some sort of scientific fact that he's good. He's got, probably if he ends the year with 20 homers and 5 steals and a .275 average, that is a phenomenal year for Lenyn Sosa that I would not expect again. I would probably put him at 14 to 16 homers and 2 to 3 steals and a .255 average. That seems to be the kind of player he is. So the fact that he's hot right now, great. I mean, grab him, but I don't fully believe it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Sex Panther is the right place to go ahead and put him. He's a very solid player. I don't want to take anything away from him. He's probably more useful than it sounds like we're giving him credit for. Very solid middle infielder, but what he's doing right now is definitely above his head. He's a teens home run, 265, 270 type of guy. Maybe a little room for average. He's sitting at 278 right now with his hot second half going. So there's nothing wrong with that in middle infield at all. And if he's sitting out there in your league, absolutely scoop him up because he is performing well right now. Would you take him or Ernie Clement, who's also been kind of he's been fine all season and had his moments?
Yeah, I would go Sosa right now.
I agree. I think that's just kind of a ride the wave one. How about we move up a little bit and go with Vinny Pasquantino, since Lenyn Sosa has triple eligibility at first, second, and third?
I would go Pasquantino.
All right. So there's a line. You're just going to use him as he should be, right? He's not really necessarily a positional starter for you.
Right.
All right, let's move on to somebody who I think could be developing into a positional starter. At least I hope so as a Cubs fan. And that is Matt Shaw. On the season, 9 home runs, 14 stolen bases, 228, 292, 392. Not the greatest numbers, not what we were expecting. But the second half, great. He is hitting 328, 7 home runs, 3 stolen bases. He just seems to be on fire right now. Is this real? Is this scientific fact? Are we Sex Panthering him, or are you dreadfully dropping him into I don't believe you?
No, I would say Sex Panther. I think he's been hot enough in the second half where that's a fair designation. I think there's some hope here for I think him in general, because he does have good speed. And the fact that he's hit, the power in the second half, 7 homers, that's no joke. So maybe he's coming into his own, and he's young enough. He's only 23, going to turn 24 in November. I think I think he potentially could still keep getting better and be someone who becomes somewhat of a scientific fact for next year. But right now, I would say probably Sex Panther and hope it continues. The kind of the bummer is he bats it in the 9-hole most days, and I mean I don't begrudge Counsell that much because the lineup is really good. So it's like, where do you move him to? But hitting ninth has its drawbacks. So there's a bit of that, and the occasional, like, it feels like he gets randomly benched or platooned occasionally for, like, the occasional Justin Turner start or something, which is just ridiculous. But in general, I do think he's probably Sex Panther and could move into Scientific Fact.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like, the Cubs offense has just not been the Cubs offense we saw in the first half either. So 9 for one of the top 2 offenses in the league, maybe you can swallow that. But now the Cubs have been bottom 5 since the second half started. So not where the Cubs need to be in regards to runs scored for that 9-hole to really work. That being said, if he keeps just destroying baseballs, I'm not afraid to run him out of corner infield either. But yes, I would give him Sex Panther with the potential to move up to, maybe 80% of the time it works every time, because he is hitting the ball harder. He's hitting the ball much better than he was early in the season. Average exit velocity's up, barrels are up, hard hit rate's up. All of it's moving in the right direction. So if he continues this, I have no problem moving him into a better spot later in the year. Let's talk about Isaac Collins. On the season, 8 home runs, 13 stolen bases. He's hitting .295. Second half, he's hitting .387, 3 home runs, 3 stolen bases. Where are you throwing Isaac Collins in this mix, Gray?
Yeah, I mean, I believe Isaac Collins was a guy we discussed early on when he first came up about how, he lost that 2020 year of development, and that sort of pushed him back. So, people are writing him off maybe as a quad A player because he was 27 years old. But I don't have a problem with Isaac Collins in general. I don't know. It's hard to say Scientific Fact because I don't know if people are thinking Scientific Fact means like he's going to be a star. But I do think what we're getting from him is more or less, like, he's hitting a little bit high of an average because his BABIP's a little high. So he's not a 295 hitter. He's probably closer to like a 260 hitter. But he's also got a lot of speed, and he's got 13 steals. That's, not fluky. And the Brewers don't mind running. And he's got 8 homers in 96 games. What is that? Roughly a 15 homer pace. 15 homers, 22, 24 steals, and a 260, 270 average over 162 isn't bad. That's a solid, and if he's hitting in the middle of the lineup as he has been, in general, I think he's Scientific Fact. I just, caution people to realize that when I say Scientific Fact doesn't mean, he's going to be a star. I just think he's going to be what he is right now, which is solid.
Yeah, very solid. And in regards to the average, I think he can hit for a high average. He had an awful May where he hit 210, but in April he hit 263. In June he hit 288. In July he hit 321, and then in August now he's hitting 452. So I really think the average is something that we can kind of not necessarily expect to stay at a 295, but I'm not. If we look at the projection systems, they're all at like 250, 235, somewhere in that range. I'm not expecting him to drop necessarily all the way to the bottom because of, some minor league numbers and different things like that. I mean, everything he's doing right now seems fairly legit other than, some of the BABIP luck.
Right.
Let's move over to some pitchers, Gray. We don't talk enough pitchers, I think, sometimes. Cade Horton has been absolutely great in the second half. He has not given up a run yet. He has an 0.75 whip, 16 strikeouts in 22 2/3 innings. That's a 20% strikeout rate with an 8.6% walk rate. The ERA has been great all season. What are your thoughts on the Cubs' Cade Horton?
Well, I know you're a Cubs fan, so it hurts my heart a little bit to say this, but I don't believe in Cade Horton. I have a real trouble seeing where he doesn't regress pretty dramatically at some point. Like, he doesn't really strike out anyone. He walks a decent amount. He's in a bit of a terrible home park. He's right now he has he's given up 0 earned runs in the second half, which does not seem sustainable. Like, I think there's a real chance he could be awful very soon. So I don't believe Cade Horton, unfortunately. He does have a decent pedigree underneath the hood where, like, he could be better. Like, I'm not writing him off for his career. I just don't believe this incarnation of Cade Horton does not seem real.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I mean, I don't think anybody thinks he's a 0 ERA guy. That being said, I do think he's a very solid pitcher. I think for ERA purposes, you can use him. The whip is kind of okay. It's acceptable. The strikeouts are where really the value might take a little bit of a hit. It seems like they've really moved him more from strikeouts to, getting weaker contact and that kind of thing. I will say the Cubs have done a good job internally recently with their pitching staff. Like, they've brought up a number of guys who, people didn't really think were going to be much and have been very solid. So I do think that there's something to the pitching staff there in Chicago, and thus I do think there's something here to Cade Horton, who looks like he's also maybe done something recently to really help with the home run, because it was definitely a problem for him in the minors at times, and then he's drastically cut that this season. So I don't know if it was a pitch mix or maybe he adjusted one of his pitches, but the home run, the fly ball is drastically better than it has been in the minors.
Word.
Moving on, Noah Cameron on the season has 93 innings, 2.52 ERA, 103 whip, 20.4% strikeout rate, 7% walk rate. As I'm reading these numbers, I don't know how we haven't really got to him at some point. The second half, though, he has 23 innings pitched, 3.13 ERA, 1.13 whip. He has an 18.6% strikeout rate and a 4% walk rate. The walks have just gone absolutely off the board. And he also has, I think, 3 wins and 4 starts. So that's definitely helping his player rater value right now. Well, what do you think about Noah Cameron in Kansas City?
Yeah, I mean, he's not too dissimilar from Cade Horton in that, like, his minor league numbers don't seem that bad, but the numbers right now feel like they're just completely, like, they're ready to regress. I am a big fan of the Royals pitching coach, whose name I don't know, because the Royals do seem to get a lot out of their pitchers. So Noah Cameron looks like a solid guy to have right now, but if the bottom drops out, I would not be shocked. So I don't believe what he's doing right now with a 2.5 ERA, but I also think he could be good. It's just whatever he's doing right now is not really that good for me. But with that said, I mean, you don't drop a guy who's doing well. So I'm fine with having him on my team right now. I just think that regression looks like it could be around the corner.
Yeah, and maybe it's me just being a little, pessimistic on somebody who's not a Cub or optimistic on a Cub. But yeah, I don't think I have the same faith in Noah Cameron that I do with Cade Horton. That being said, I do believe he's still a solid streamer. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The ERA's been good all season. So again, it's kind of a ERA, and then you accept that the strikeouts aren't going to be there. I will say his whip has been amazing this season, but that's not something he's really had strongly through the minors. So that's kind of where I assume the regression will come in the whip, and where he has a very high left on base. The BABIP is very low at 236, 85% left on base. So both of those seem like there's some kind of blow up coming, and an 8.7% home run the fly ball compared to his minor league of this season, which is 28.6. That's a very small sample, though. But 8.7 is pretty low home run to fly ball for him in general. Again, he maybe made a change, but when in the same season in the minors it was bad, I don't really think they make a change when they move from the minors to the majors. But that being said, you did say the Royals pitching is, their coaching is great. So maybe that does help at the major league level. Brian Sweeney and Zach Bove have done a phenomenal job with the pitching there in Kansas City. One more pitcher, Gray, and that is Jakob Lopez, 77 and 2/3 innings this year, 3.59 ERA, 1.25 WHIP, 28.2% strikeout rate, 9% walk rate. Finally getting somebody who gets some strikeouts. Second half, 22 innings, 2.05 ERA, 1.05 WHIP, 29% strikeout rate, 10.5% walk rate. Jakob Lopez, Gray, this is one that this one feels maybe a little bit more worthwhile.
Yeah. Jakob Lopez is kind of like, I feel like he's more Sec Panther right now. Whereas like I see his numbers and I'm interested, right? Like I like what he's doing. Strikeouts are nice. The walk rate, while a little bit wild, has been better than he was in the minors. He's having success. I wonder if like he doesn't like, he feels a little bit to me like he's a high risk, high reward kind of strikeout, solid strikeouts, maybe like a poor man's Louis Gill kind of thing. But I do like Jakob Lopez. Sex Panther, I would say, but I don't know if like he is going to be necessarily a start every time out. But right now, I'm in for Jakob Lopez for how well he's been pitching in the second half. Like he's going well. The strikeouts are there. He's keeping, even in a terrible park. He's like keeping the A's in the game. I'm somewhat of a fan. With some slight hesitations. So not quite scientific fact, but Sex Panther, I'll say.
Yeah, I think I'll go Sex Panther here as well. And I think we agree on Horton and Cameron are in there, or did you put them more in the I don't believe you?
I don't believe them.
Okay. I kind of believe Horton. I do not believe Cameron. Jakob Lopez is maybe more of the the good Sex Panther at the end of the movie, if you're familiar with Anchorman. So, maybe that. But yeah, I think Jakob Lopez is just, he has some starts that aren't great. Really, if you just don't start him versus Houston, Texas, and Toronto, he is phenomenal. So if you just avoid those three teams, Gray, you can start Jakob Lopez pretty freely. Just looking through the game logs as I was prepping. So I actually like Jakob Lopez a lot as a streamer, or even just somebody to roster, because the strikeouts are very nice and you can just use him in the right matchups. As you mentioned, the walks aren't great, so just any team who's very patient is not really what he does well. Let's move on and SAGNOF it up, Gray. Let's talk some closers and some bullpens over in Baltimore. They don't know who's closing, and I don't either. Do you?
They don't know if they're going to win a game, and neither do I. I would say it's not worth your time, right? So I think I said this last week. I think the Orioles might win a game or two. They might get a save or two, but struggling to find who the Orioles closer is when you could instead say like you pick up like Hunter Gaddis, the guy who's behind Cade Smith in Cleveland. You pick up Hunter Gaddis and you get a vulture save or two there, and you get good ratios. So you end up with the same amount of saves as if you picked up like Keegan Akin over with the Orioles, and he's going to blow up your spot and maybe not get a save. And then you got to like struggle to find who's the next guy. Is it Cano? And then he blows up your spot. It's just not worth it, man. Just like, it's not, the Orioles aren't worth it. The Rockies aren't worth it. I would probably even say, the Nationals may not be worth it. And I struggle to find who's worth it in the Dodger bullpen too. And the Twins, I don't know either. I mean, yeah, there's some teams that it's just like, it depends on, I guess, how desperate you are for saves. But the Orioles and the Rockies are the bottom of those teams I just mentioned. Like, they're really not worth it.
No, I would agree in regards to Baltimore. Fun stat, Gray. They have one pitcher in their bullpen who has an ERA under 5 over the last month.
Perfect.
One. That's pretty awful. And that is Cade Stroud, by the way, if you were wondering at home. If you wanted to grab somebody, you might as well grab Cade Stroud, because by hook or by crook, eventually he has to be given a chance, because he's the only one in the bullpen who's not just blowing up on a day-to-day basis. It's absolutely insane, Gray. You mentioned the Dodgers. Blake Trinan is awful. They refuse to give it to Vesia for some reason. I guess at least on the Dodgers side, there's some good relievers here, unlike the Orioles. So if you're picking up, you're at least not bombing your ERA and WHIP. But you're right. I have no idea game in and game out who is getting the save.
Yeah, Dave Roberts seems to want Blake Trinan to be the closer, but Blake Trinan's doing everything in his power to not be the closer.
But Blake Trinan does not want to be the closer in any way, shape, or form, and he is displaying that clearly by just being awful. So yeah, it'll be. I just pick up Vesia. Like, if you're gonna pick up anybody, pick up Vesia. You can pick up Jack Dreyer. He's been great too, or Banda. They've all been great. But I'm just chasing the ERA and WHIP. You're not chasing saves, really. I'm not counting on them. Over in the Yankees, Gray, Bednar blows a save but gets the win because he came in early. What are your thoughts here? Any concerns that they may make a move, or are you like, this is the same team that didn't change their bullpen all season?
Yeah, I would guess that right now Bednar seems to be the best bet. It's Monday in the middle of the Yankees game as we record this, so that could change by the end of the Yankees game today on Monday. So I have no faith in that, but I think David Bednar is the closer as of right this second.
I would agree. I don't think that you're going to move out there after one where they got the win still. I don't know why in the world they won't just give it to Luke Weaver. They just hate him with some kind of Jordan Walker like hatred. I don't quite understand it, but hey, it is what it is. Let's move over to Cleveland. I guess it's Cade Smith, but what are your thoughts here, Gray? Is this another one where you're not real happy about it?
I think it's Cade Smith. I think it's clearly Cade Smith.
Okay.
I think he's actually valuable if he's able.
It's him.
Yeah, if it's him, and yeah, if he gets all the saves, which he seems to be, and Hunter Gaddis seems to be the setup man there. So, and they're both good. So yeah, I like Cade Smith.
Yeah, Cade Smith, if he has the job for next season, might be like a top 5 closer, Gray. He's absolutely great.
Mm-hmm.
You already said Minnesota's gross. We're just not even going to talk about it. The A's, they're equally gross, Gray. So is Arizona, and so is St. Louis. So if you want to talk about anything with any of those teams, we'll open the floor to you.
Yeah, so I go Twins, I would say Topa. A's, I would say Newcomb. The Diamondbacks, I would say no one. I would say it's a similar situation to the Orioles, where I don't think you really want to mess with the Diamondbacks, but I guess Kyle Backus, if you really are struggling to find someone, I guess him, or Sal Frank. But you should just, like I mentioned before, just pick up someone who's better. And then St. Louis, I would say probably Jojo Romero. But Marmol seems like he's willing to just throw his he doesn't seem like he has set roles right now in St. Louis. So, Kyle Leahy could get the next save, Riley O'Brien could get the next save, or Romero. I think it's a total toss up for who's going to get the saves, but they've all been good though. All three of those guys who I've mentioned, so they're not bad. So I wouldn't mind picking up Romero and seeing if you get a couple saves there.
Yeah, out of that group that I just read off, Romero is definitely the one I would be grabbing if he's available. The rest of them are pretty gross, and I'll just avoid if I'm not chasing down every single last save point. Give the people some waiver wire bats, Gray.
Okay, so a lot of these names are going to sound familiar if you listen to the show. So Isaac Collins, he's been hot. Jakob Marsee, he's been hot. Ernie Clement, he's been hot. As we mentioned on all three of them, Luke Keaschall has been hot, as we mentioned. Max Muncy, he came back from the Dodgers, and he immediately started hitting. Matt Shaw, who we mentioned earlier. Nathan Lukes has been hot. But there was they were in Colorado a little bit, and they're like some of the Blue Jays, like Dalton Varsho was hot, but again, there was a little bit of like, and Clement had a little bit of that too with the Colorado series. Anyway, moving along. Herberto Hernandez in Miami, he's been hot. Michael A. Taylor's been hot. Jordan Walker, hey, Jordan Walker finally had a good week. 47 weeks after we wanted him to have the good week.
And he's on the bench today, by the way.
yeah, and he's on the bench today, of course. Brenton Doyle's actually been hot. Guy who we wanted to have a hot week about 24 weeks ago has finally had a hot week. Blaze Alexander has been hot. And finally, Edmundo Sosa. And Lenyn Sosa. All Sousas. Every Sosa has been hot. Except for Sammy. Yeah, so there's some names.
Hey, Sammy might be doing his thing in the Mexican League. You don't know. Gray. Some kind of Dominican backyard league. I don't know. He could still be smashing the balls. Streaming options, Gray. It's not a great week for streamers. I'll just be honest. Cade Horton, who we mentioned at Toronto. Since Gray's gonna just pull names from the show notes, I'll do the same thing. Drew Rasmussen at the Athletics. I don't love the park, but Drew Rasmussen has been great recently. Michael Walker at Washington. Chris Bassett versus Texas. Jason Alexander versus Baltimore. Max Scherzer versus the Cubs, and Tomoyuki Sugano versus Seattle. Like I said, not a great week for streamers, not a plethora of options. Maybe your league is different. If you have specific guys you want to ask about, you can find us on Twitter. I'm at RazBeaton. Gray is at Razball account. You can find us on youtube.com/RazballFantasy or on Razball.com in the comments section. If you're interested in the Fantasy Football Podcast League, let me know on Twitter at RazBeaton. And by the way, that league comes with a free spot to any Razball competition that you would like. So even if you're a baseball player, you can win this football league and get yourself into our baseball competition instead. Until next week, may your lineups be perfect. May you win all your matchups. And I'll talk to you later, Gray.
All right, Lates.